Good afternoon, students. Today we will see about a major component of pulmonary rehabilitations. So, as we know, there are basically five components of this pulmonary rehabilitation for individuals. First one is dyspnea management. Second one is exercise training. Third one is nutrition and body composition. Fourth one is patient education, and fifth or last one is cognitive behavior therapy. So first of all, we will see about a dyspnea management. So what is dyspnea? So dyspnea is basically, as already we know, that is a kind of a shortness of breath or breathlessness. Now there is a one viscous cycle. Just because of dyspnea, you are not doing any activity, or you are restricting yourself to do any activity, either because of fear or anxiety or anything, which leads to development of decrease in activity, or because of decrease in activity, again it will going for decrease in cardiovascular and your muscular fitness because of low activity or reduced activity. Or many time patient is having so much fear that he one does not go beyond anything, just whatever is the necessary, like washing and bathing and all. Beyond that, he is not attempting any physical exertion just because of fear of breathlessness. Suppose if I do this, I will do that, I will have again breathlessness, and again that will be a pathetic condition, so I don't want to do anything. And because of that, ultimately again there is a decrease in the pathology or aggravations of the pulmonary diseases, and again it is affecting your dyspnea. And as we see, the dyspnea research has proven that dyspnea is only the symptoms in the respiratory causes which affecting it more than 85% of your health related quality of life. So this is a physical cycle. Because of dyspnea, fewer activity. Because of fear, decrease in the limitation of activity. Limitation of activity will ultimately reduce your cardiovascular and muscular fitness. Because of the decrease in the fitness, there will be obviously aggravations of pulmonary disease, and again you will have a more amount of dyspnea. So what could be done to reduce this kind of dyspnea management? So first one, reduce ventilatory demand. Second one is reduce ventilatory impedance. Third one is improve the inspiratory muscle function. And fourth one is alter central perception. So now how we can do so? Reduce ventilatory demand. Okay, so the word itself says we have to decrease the demand. So here we can use the kind of energy conservation technique or interval kind of training. Suppose the subject is able to walk around 20 meters without breathlessness, but because of respiratory problems, he may not be able to do this 20 yards or 20 meters of walk without breathlessness. So now what we can do? We can decrease the or manage the energy conservation or respiratory lengths in such a way that there will be no exertions on the ventilatory systems, and ultimately demand will be reduced. So we can divide them in a 5 meters or 10 meters two step, like that. After 5-10 minutes of walk, he can just sit and go for ride. Same way we can modify different activities. Here just we are understanding purpose by taking such example. So that will be considered as your reduced ventilatory demand. So suppose one demand is there for 100 kilocalorie, but it will not be filled by in a single stretch. So we can divide them in 50 calorie, take replenishment or take rest, then you can add for the next one. Second one is reduce ventilatory impedance. So what itself says impedance means reduction in the impedance is a kind of obstacles or a resistance to ventilation. So in day-to-day life or in day-to-day activity, even though we also have, especially those who are living in a these urban setups or crowded area, so we have a such amount of impedance or resistance, so that has to be controlled. Okay, like crowded areas, low oxygen area, high altitude area, or poor sanitation area, or ventilation is not well. Okay, so that area should be avoided to go, or if it is going, it has to be managed such a way that it does not problem, even though the patient may have a good capacity to for respiratory compliance from the lung side, but other factors of environmental or surroundings may not cop up, and ultimately reducing the performance of ventilation in the respiratory compromised patients. Third one, improve inspiratory muscle function. Obviously, that can also be a part of a ventilatory impedance as well. So that if even though the lung compliance is well or lung tissues are supporting, but your muscles are not there well, that may be including, that may be inspiratory muscles as well as your other skeletal muscles, which is required along with your inspiratory muscles to do your ADL task, like your lower limb and upper limb muscles are very weak, even though you have a good inspiratory capacity, but just because of musculoskeletal support is not there, you may not be able to move. And fourth one is alter central perception. That is a most important part that will include about both time management, patient education, even as well as cognitive behavior therapy. That after the certain attacks of the breathlessness or habituation with this, patient is understand that nowadays I cannot do anything, or they have a perception even the minor breath rate. Suppose the breath rate is just changing from 20 to 22, patient will be altering, or patient may not be able to do or to perceive like it has respiratory rate of 45 or 100 like that. So that has to be alter the sensation. Now second one is exercise prescription. So exercise prescription, obviously we follow the American Sports College guidelines, that is a frequency, intensity, time and type fit principles, or that is called a FITM also. So the program durations and the frequency, that will be 20 sessions is more effective than the 10 sessions, then should be prolonged exam. Short time intensive program for 20 sessions in 3 to 4 weeks found to be more effective. In case of an OPD, 2 to 3 times per week, we can go for up to 4 to 5 days, 5 times per week, and not less than 7 weeks. Supervised exam is obviously more effective than non-supervised one, ATS guidelines of 2006. So that was about a frequency. And now intensity. So intensity is about, obviously we can start with the 45 or 50% of, as per the evidence it says the 60 to 75% of your maximum heart rate, but initially to gain the detailed assessment and all, we slowly start with the 45 degree or 50 degree of your maximum heart rate, and we can go up to the 75% of your maximum capacity, which will help to reduction in the ventilation and the lactate level as well to do the exercise at optimum level. Now training or type, what type of exercise will do. So training should be specific one to the specific muscles, should not be traditionally focused on the only lower limbs or generalized exercise, but depends on the individual task or tailored program that involve many ideal activity also involve about upper limb as well. So it should be incorporated with the upper limb, lower limb and the back along with your respiratory muscles. If we are going for the prolonged programs, endurance and strength training, then how it should be managed. So traditionally we have endurance training is useful in the form of what, that is cycle and treadmill or side walking or normal walking, but that is not all possible in all the patients. So we have to go for the longer duration of high intensity exercise, that is more than 60% of your heart rate, and adapted in the endurance training. Total training should be start time, that is minimum of 30 minutes, then we can go up to 120 minutes over period of time, but it should not affect the patient's dyspnea level. Now interval training, like that is a part of a training program, so result in the significant lower symptoms scores, and despite of the high training loads. When the patient is going for continuous training or high training, then you will have a more amount of dyspnea problems, but when you are going for interval training and prolonged training, it will have a good effect. Now strength training, so how much the strength should be given, that is also mandatory to improve overall cardiovascular and your muscular mass and strength. It should include about 2 to 4 set of 6 to 12 repetition with intensity of 50 to 85% of your 1 RM, and the combination of strength and endurance training is probably the best strategy. Many thought of schools having a conflicts that only strength have a less effect or endurance have a more effect and all, but overall and both the effect combinedly have a great effect in the pulmonary rehabilitation protocols. So this is what dyspnea management and exercise prescription will be done as a part of your pulmonary rehabilitation protocol. So if we talk about just a different upper limbs, lower limb and cross training and ventilative muscle training, that we will be seeing in the next classes. Thank you.